Today on the Topping Show, Justin Trudeau is worried about populism growing. Vivek on the Hunter Biden gun conviction. Biden taxed the rich their fair share. Tweet backfires completely. GM lowers EV production target. Apple passes Microsoft to become the most valuable company on the planet. Investors push against woke policies at Target and Dick's. Boeing has now gone 2 months with zero sales. JoJo Siwa drinks and touches herself on stage in front of children. 24-hour fitness, well, they have a memo that says they have year-round approval for BLM and Pride decor, but not USA flags. Star Wars' new show has a 23% audience score as it prioritizes diversity over substance, and the Honda Fit is being recalled. All of that and much, much more on The Topping Show. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. I say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part podcast, you have GM to lower their EV production target while still saying, oh, they're all in on EVs, which, again, just a friendly reminder, General Motors has gone bankrupt 3 times since Billy Durant founded the company all those years ago by combining Buick as well as Oldsmobile. And yeah, so statistically speaking, probably going to go bankrupt again. They kind of have a historic pattern going. Now, this is first brought to us thanks to Jamie over at Detroit Free Press, which, ironically named because Detroit is really not free. It's mostly totalitarian by political policies, but it's also fascinating that they still have news there. And people live there. That's even more astonishing. That's kind of a joke because everyone I know who lived there my family were up there, they got out as soon as they could. Now, they specifically say, quote, GM lowers EV production targets amid slow demand, saying EVs will show a variable profit. Well, get rid of that little pop-up there. And they say, quote, GM is pulling back on its electric vehicle production target for a year, adjusting the timing and its profit targets because demand for EVs is not growing at the pace initially expected. That's funny. GM didn't make the right call? Huh. When has that happened before? Oh, yes, nearly all the time. Yeah, GM, just as a friendly reminder, they make one hybrid, which, again, I'm not a fan of hybrids, but the largest growing consumer demand category in the automotive industry in the United States is hybrids, which is yet another reason that Toyota read the room right, and they invested heavily into hybrid technologies. Now, GM CFO Paul Jacobson said earlier this week that GM could trim its targeted production of EVs in 2024 between 200,000 and 300,000 to between 200K and 250K. Jacobson said that GM still believes it can variable profit positive on an EV at low 200,000 production range. GM promised investors earlier this year that it would show a variable profit in EVs by the second half of the year. Variable profit is when revenue GM earns from selling the vehicle exceeds the direct cost of producing it. The calculation excludes the corporate or fixed cost, measuring only the costs that go into the car and the revenue earned from the car directly. Nice way of saying it's not overall at the end of the day going to be profit, but again, it is moving in the right direction and getting to overall profitability. And you can also see one of those huge Hummer EVs being assembled in this picture, which I've seen 1 or 2 on the road, and it's fascinating to see how far that brand has fallen. And I guess it's kind of been reignited by a couple enthusiasts. Now, GM sales so far, they say, despite lower than demand expected for EVs across the industry, Jacobson said that GM had a strong EV sales in May, selling about 9,500 EVs in the month. The adjusted production profit time target is 100% demand driven based on the broader industry, he claims. So, we're getting better. They also say on the supply issue, we've overcome the battery module issue. We're on track to produce 300,000 vehicles this year, according to Jacobson, which, yeah, I'll never forget the Chevy Bolt was known for bursting into flames because, yeah, they had a couple of battery problems with that. Yeah, not the best name for it, though accurately named. So GM's increasing their production, but they're starting to lower those targets. And again, pretty much everyone is having more and more competition in the EV category. Will GM really become an industry leader? Will just kind of struggle to exist? Their stock has been going up lately, so that's a first. I mean, Mary Barra's been in charge of the company for about 10 years from a CEO perspective, and the stock growth has been anemic under her tenure. The past couple months, so it's gone up quite a bit. So maybe the market thinks that the General Motors is moving in the right direction. Let me know. Do you know anyone who actually drives a GM manufactured vehicle? I mean, I know people up north because you get the friends and family discount because they work indirectly or directly for General Motors or one of the other big three automotive companies like Ford or Stellantis, previously known as Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep. But let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Apple becoming the most profitable company on the planet, surpassing Microsoft, well, at least from a publicly traded perspective and, a company we actually know about. Because, yeah. But nevertheless, this is brought to us thanks to the OG News Network, the old search engine, which we all used to know and love, well, at least those who are more tenured in age, Yahoo, which Yahoo Finance says, quote, Apple pushes past Microsoft to become the most valuable company. Which is pretty good. They say Apple has overtaken Microsoft as the most valuable company, speeding past the tech competitor after Apple's shares surged to a new record high on its AI announcements. Which, again, is another, the power of keywords is, some might say, key. And again, it's a tech company, they're doing stuff in AI, but we're also seeing a couple trends where, a couple years ago, everyone was talking about the cloud. That was another big buzzword that, again, has a correlation to the market. They also said synergy and other fancy words earlier. Hyperconverged was a big one for combining servers to storage or compute and storage for data center technologies a couple years ago. And yeah, Apple even claims they might even put ChatGPT learning materials into the phone and start to integrate that, which has spurred Elon to say if that does happen, he'll blacklist it and then won't be able to use things like X Twitter. But good for Apple. It's even more impressive that people buy Apple considering it's the most profitable company in terms of more profitable than oil and pharmaceuticals in some cases, which is insanely impressive that Apple's able to charge those high prices, usually 50% profit, which is why I'm one of the few people I know that still runs an Android. Better bang for the buck in my opinion. But yeah, not too surprised. I mean, Apple's been growing exponentially under Tim Cook's tenure, which perhaps a debate in the comments. Who do you think was a better CEO, Steve Jobs, who helped form a company and grow it, or Tim Cook, who helped them surpass the $2 trillion and $3 trillion mark in terms of public valuation? As always, we'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have investors pushing against the woke policies at Target as well as Dick's. This is brought to us thanks to Breck Dumas over at Fox Business, which, interestingly enough, is somehow still in business. And they say, quote, Target, Dick's Sporting Goods face pushback from investors for, quote unquote, going woke. Major retailers are the latest targets of anti-woke activists. Investors ramp up pressure for companies amid the culture war. They should also have a bullet, like a little bullet or asterisk, and to make a profit, which is what the purpose of the business is. Which, again, used to be what business were all about. Now, they say that, quote, major retailers Target and Dick's Sporting Goods both face criticism over their woke policies in their respective shareholder meetings earlier this week on Wednesday, and activist investors ramp up pressure on companies amid raging culture wars in the U.S. The National Center for Public Policy Research, NCPPR, which is a conservative think tank, the National Center for Public Policy Research. I mean, that's just too long of an acronym. I know maybe you want to sound fancy, but that just seems silly to me. But nevertheless, their marketing aside, they say they have plans to present proposals at a vote at each company amid threats to the boards, preventing the boards from making hyper-political decisions in the future, arguing that they have taken controversial positions at the shareholders' expense, which they absolutely have. Target, I don't know how mentally vacuous they are. During Pride Month last year, they decided to hire a designer who's a self-proclaimed Satanist, and they actually had satanic materials in Target, which I'm not being overly bombastic. They quite literally had an enamel pin. What pretty good quality. It was made on metal, or metals if you want to pronounce it properly. And it actually said, in a picture of Satan, it said, Satan respects pronouns. They also had pride material for children. They had tuck-friendly swimsuits for trans or men dressing up in women's uniforms in swimsuits. They could tuck their junk. That ignited a lot of controversy last Pride and Pride Month last year. And this year, they've dramatically decreased the amount of Pride materials, and in some stores, they even moved it to the back. Because again, Target has hit with a huge backlash, and there's a lot of people starting to boycott it. Now, they say that, quote, at Target, the anti-woke investors are asking that the retailer provide a report on its partnership with other support for, quote, divisive social and political organizations and causes after the company sparked backlash last year with its Pride Month displays. Target has had a June Pride Month display with rainbow, LGBTQIA plus banana messaging for years, but the addition of products such as female-style swimsuits that can be used to tuck male genitalia outraged many consumers in spring 2023. Again, personally, I think that was a point of contention for many people, but also having it, they had it next to the kids stuff, and they had kids stuff with sex stuff on it. Now, they say that backlash was so severe that Insider told Fox News Business Digital at the time that some stores were told to relocate their Pride displays to the back of the store to try to futilely attempt the Bud Light situation. Let's see. Now they also say that NCPPR specifically took aim at Target's partnership with they call it the Human Rights Campaign, which is deceptive for what they do, in my opinion. But I think they do a lot of political things, but at least that's marketing in terms of it sounds very nice. You can't possibly be against that. But nevertheless, they say that Target's partnership with Human Rights Campaign and said that the company disastrously engaged in such activism when it aggressively touted radical gender theory in the stores. The activist investors said that the backlash hurt Target sales and damaged its stock price significantly, which resulted in a $12 billion lawsuit against the company and caused Target to be ranked as high risk on the 1792 Exchange Corporate Bias Rating, which that's not great. Well, the Target right now is still not too bad, $147.10 per share. Again, not financial advice. Now, separately, the NCPPR is asking Dick's Sporting Goods shareholders to consider a bylaw amendment waiving the business judgment rule, arguing the measure would bring greater board accountability for corporate acts taken to advance the political or ideological views of management. Which, yeah, I don't buy Dick's because they're dicks there. One of those things where ever since there was, I believe, Sandy Hook, they virtue signaled and bragged about destroying AR-15s and saying they wouldn't carry them. Which, also, if you don't like guns, well, you're probably not American, but nevertheless, if you are one of those mentally vacuous people who think only the government should have guns, well, you should also not like Dick's because even though they said they got rid of the AR-15, again, the most popular rifle by far in the United States by number of units sold, well, Dick's owns Field and Stream. Now, that store does have those products. So, if you really think Dick's is, quote, unquote, all about anti-gun, well, they own a company that still makes, they still sell it. Now, scrolling down, they actually note that case specifically, and it's even more vacuous when they had the CEO of Dick's say this out loud. The think tank wrote in its supporting document that, quote, Dick's has itself arguably been financially in the past prioritizing political views when Ed Stack, the then chairman and CEO, decided that Dick's should take a stand on gun violence by foregoing the sale of AR-style weapons. And he said, I don't care what the financial impact is, implementing the proposal would commit Dick's to focusing on shareholder value. Which, that guy's a dick. So, he doesn't care. A CEO said he doesn't care about that financial impact. How he gets not fired immediately is beyond me. Now, interestingly enough, they say that the board of directors at Dick's unanimously recommended a vote against the proposal, arguing that it would likely violate Delaware law. And again, I don't think, in terms of if you're a shareholder at Dick's, I mean, I don't know anyone even remotely pro-gun who's ever shopped at Dick's since that incident. They all moved on to better stores, like Shields, which is a great store, although not headquartered out of Texas. They're headquartered out of North Dakota. They're still great stores, always clean. They have everything from swimming goggles to rifles to suppressors. They have a lot of product diversity. They actually have these rare things called statues of our founding fathers in front of the store, which these days, a lot of people, it's actually a good rule of thumb of how you judge someone. If that offends someone, you probably know you don't want to hang out with them. So, again, I'm sure, oh, geez Louise. What kind of pop-up is this? Apologies. Where is this? Oh, pop. Oh. Of course, Fox. Their business ineptitudes keep stacking up on top of each other. Of course, they had a random pop-up, even though it was muted, and magically just unmuted itself and annoyed the hell out of both of us. Or all of us, depending on how many people are tuning in today. But let me know, do you think this will really inspire people to go back and shop at Target at Dick's if they're to change their policies and make it so it's more difficult for business leaders at those companies to get involved in politics and all these culture wars types of things? Let me know in the comments. As always, I'll be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Boeing now going 2 months without selling a single plane, which, yeah, that's not great. You should probably focus on hiring the best employees to do the best jobs and hire someone with modicum intelligence to work in the quality assurance department if you, in fact, have a quality assurance department. The rumor is they do have people checking on the quality of these planes. Although that's a rumor, I don't think I've ever actually seen one in person. I partially jest. Now, this is first brought to us thanks to ABC News, and yep, things aren't looking good at Boeing. Now, they say Boeing sales tumbled as the firm gets no orders for the 737 MAX for a second straight month. Boeing had another weak month for aircraft sales in May, taking orders for just 4 new planes. Which, wow. That is terrible. And of course, this is after the fallout of their side panel bursting off of the plane, which, yeah, not great news. Now, they also say that the results released earlier this week on Tuesday compared unfavorably to Europe's Airbus, which is one of their biggest competitors, which reported net orders for 15 planes in June. Wow. Or sorry, in May, 27 sales, but 12 cancellations, which, yeah, is still a ridiculously good overall net positive. Boeing also saw Aerolines Argentina's cancel an order for a single MAX jet, bringing its sales for the month to 3. Wow. That is pretty bad. They also know that shares of Boeing fell 3% in the trading after this news was broken. Yeah. And of course, they still have a huge backlog of 5,600 orders. And it'll be interesting to see what the stipulations are for the contracts, if they're even allowed to actually break them from a end user perspective, or if the airline could conceivably do that. But yeah, Boeing continues to be the butt of many jokes, and they'll never go out of business, I suspect, or get enough financial advice because they have military contracts, and they're one of the few competitors out there from an aviation perspective for large commercial and military jets and planes. But let me know, do you know anyone who still trusts a Boeing airplane? I have friends who are actually like making jokes where they know people who fly. They almost call the airline like, "Hey, what are you flying today? You guys got Airbus or Boeing? Because I'd like to get there in one piece." But as always, let me know in the comments. I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the culture part of the podcast, do you have someone by the name of JoJo Siwa touching yourself inappropriately and drinking in front of children, which fortunately is all too common these days, and yet another reason to, well, not just homeschool your kids, but make sure you only take them to appropriate events and performers where you actually know and trust, where they don't pull this kind of stuff on stage. Which, I mean, she also gets the F- for marketing. We'll go over that or for fashion, we'll get over that in a second. Now, this is first brought to us thanks to Libs of TikTok over on X. And she says, quote, JoJo Siwa, Siwa, touches herself inappropriately and drinks alcohol on stage at a show in front of kids. And I don't even know what the heck that is. Almost looks like a Power Ranger, but they took all the clothing off except the boots, the middle part, and the top. And of course, it's all pride colored, and she's drinking what looks like maybe Tito's whiskey, like a handle, which perhaps that'll make her music better. I've never heard of her before this, but yeah. Then I won't. Oh, this music is terrible. How do we mute this crap? Where is it? Really? On next Twitter. And you can kind of see her there gyrating and touching her private parts, which used to be called private for a reason, but nowadays, oh, she goes inside the underwear too. God, yeah, she is the. I don't know if this is. Oh, nowadays might be a compliment, but she seems like the ass without the class. Now that went pretty well. It got 2.4 million views and 10,000 likes, which talk about a weird name, JoJo, but nevertheless. Going down more and more, one of the first responses comes from Paul Zupla saying, quote, "What parents brought their kids to this?" Unquote, getting 934 likes, which, yeah, morally or mentally vacuous parents, or lazy the parents that didn't want to find a babysitter, and they just want to drag the kids with them to go out to this concert and listen to this alleged music. You also have Gays Against Groomers saying, "We don't claim her," getting 95 likes. The Crazy Conservative says, even worse, the parents took their kids to the show knowing exactly how she was going to act, getting 3.6 thousand likes. But Jenkins says, "Pedos are not just men, let that sink in," getting 4.2 thousand likes. Livercat Media TM says, "No one has to go along with this weird shit," and it's all the different, I know all the different pride flags or logos. Got 2,000 likes. Courage is a habit says, well, this checks, and it's the Pride Trans Progress flag saying mental illness month, or mental illness month. That says Pride Month, getting 717 likes. And Lieb says, "Remember when parents used to change TV channels for inappropriate scenes?" Getting 154 likes. Jason Neptune says, "Sick and disgusting, extremely inappropriate in front of kids, shameful," getting 495 likes. Gaslighting Today says, "Pride Month really does excuse any behavior, doesn't it?" Getting 434 likes, which it sure seems to, especially when you have these parades where you have naked adults walking in front of children. 20 years ago, they would have been prosecuted heavily and presumably thrown in jail for public indecency. Or some might say worse, some might say better in terms of other things that would happen to them. AKA says, "Liberals see no problem," getting 472 likes, which, yeah. Travis says, "Wokeness is a mind virus," getting 947 likes. Jessica O'Donnell says, Miley 2.0, boring. Someone should just tell her this has been done. It wasn't considered cool, just a phase. Getting 179 likes. McManus says, but it's not about grooming kids, right? Getting 122 likes. Let's see. Planet of Memes, which F-, they did not, in fact, respond to in meme form, but text. But nevertheless, the Planet of Memes says she's going to turn into another Britney Spears, unquote, getting 507 likes. The Almighty says, keep kids safe. And here you can see, or if you're tuning in, there's a pride parade with, what is this guy called? He's dressed in all leather, and his name is Mr. Leather, and he has a little sash. And he's walking 3 men dressed up as dogs. They are topless with, what is it, leather straps and like a dog mask and dog, like, paw gloves. And of course they're on, what is it, collars or chains. And there are kids holding the pride the pride flags behind watching. Yep, the cultural decay continues. Getting 92 likes. Remember we were told this was, they were just going to be the bitch in the bedroom. And just a day, and just a week, and just a month. And never in front of kids. And yet we see more and more where there are parades with naked and half-naked adults in front of kids. Which, to me, that's one of my biggest points of contention. I don't really give a damn what you do in bedroom, but you start being naked and doing sexual things in public, yeah, it's disgusting. Let's see. Black Sheep American says, not okay. She's sexualizing kids also. She also needs to be called out, getting 106 likes. See if there's any contrarian statements. Here. Julie says it's so messed up she still sells her signature boast to little girls, getting, I got 78 likes. Yeah, that's it looks creepy as hell. There's another. Yeah, F- for marketing. That's in fashion. I don't know what. I guess it is like a gay Power Ranger. I got 8. Of course, she's humping her friend as well, or other dancer. Let's see. So yeah, not too many contrarian statements. Pretty much everyone agreeing this is disgusting. Let's say. Jeez, a couple inappropriate, well, some might argue inappropriate memes. Do one more. The traditional rebellion says, if we don't teach our kids to follow Jesus, then the world would teach them how to follow them. The world, if we don't teach them, okay, so, and they have a picture of Satan coming out a rainbow, and the follower is stopping it with a shield and reading his kids the Bible. That got 26 likes. So to get another celebrity downfall, though I didn't even know this person was a celebrity, but I don't know, have you ever heard of this person before? I mean, truth be told, I didn't, but maybe this is a very popular, really, really popular musician I just didn't know about, filled with eloquence and really good. Well, no, I'm kidding. Obviously, I listen to the music and it's boring to say the least. But are you surprised at this point with more and more of these musicians having these public displays? Let me know in the comments. As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have 24-Hour Fitness having a memo leak that shows they approve year-round use of BLM and Pride apparel and logos and accoutrements, but not the USA flag, which, I mean, I don't think we should really be surprised at this point. I mean, every one of these gyms seems to be politically, culturally all motivated. And I don't really know if they care about making profit these days. Because, again, a lot of these policies are directly correlating to less sales, and it even hurt their stock for a little while, too, before investors, bought it up on the cheap or on discount, some might say. Now, this was brought to us thanks to Libs of TikTok on X Twitter, and she says, quote, holy shit, internal memo from 24-Hour Fitness advises that BLM and Pride symbols are always approved forms of freedom of expression, but the American flag and U.S. logos are only allowed to be worn on holidays. Which, yeah, I don't think anyone is too surprised by this. Now, I don't know why these touchscreens, I don't know why the memo is a little blurred, so I'm going to try to read it best I can. But it's called Equity Support. And this is their memo. It says, we've committed to creating a more inclusive environment in 24-Hour Fitness. Recognizing that we have to do, oh no way do they say that, that we have to do the work we have to do. Again, if you click the subscribe button, it may very well assist in my speaking ineptitudes. I have a theory. When I first started the show, really bad at speaking, spoke even faster, more of a monotone, and believe it or not, stumbled over my words even more. However, as I've gained more subscribers, my eloquent speaking has somewhat appeared to brew the service. So if you can click that button, maybe I'll be able to read through a whole episode without messing up a single time. A tall task, some might say. The odds, I mean, wise pilot once said, never tell me the odds, but if you click that button again, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, again, I will attempt to read this. It says, equity support. We committed to creating a more inclusive environment at 24-Hour Fitness, recognizing that we have to work to become stronger allies in support of those who are impacted by systemic oppression and inequity. This is really blurred. Nevertheless, to create a healthy, happy world within our clubs and other spaces, we support our team members bringing their full selves to work every day, including their freedom of expression. Outside of required branded apparel provided by the company, team members may also wear otherwise permitted by our dress code, e.g., outerwear, mask, etc., that show their solidarity and support, that embody our collective humanity and support our collective goal of equity for all. Unquote. Well, except for, American values. But I'll continue. Currently approved, excuse me, currently approved movements and, God, this is blurry, and or social causes, along with approved expressions, are Black Lives Matter, BLM words, Pride and or Pride Rainbow logo, Juneteenth logo symbol or date or on Juneteenth, flag or United States logo on holidays such as Memorial Day, Flag Day, July 4th, Veteran Day, Patriot Day, etc. If other expressions come up where our team members would like the opportunity for a personal expression, please consult with your GM and or line manager. Within this context, we trust and look to our team members to ensure our choices align with our values and uphold our commitment to serving all communities. Where you have questions and our thoughts, we encourage you to engage with your line manager and, if needed, to escalate topics to further consideration to your first line manager or HR partner. Wow. This is also coming from the gym. It allows biological men to change in front of young girls and women. Yeah, this is from the same gym. I don't think we should be too surprised at this point. Now, my previous video got 2.7 million views and 27,000 likes. Now, one of the first comments comes from Paul Zupla saying, quote, so now 24-Hour Fitness is trying to go out of business just like Planet Fitness. Okay, then. Yeah. Planet Fitness also has that policy of allowing biological men to change in front of girls and ladies in the locker room. And so does LA Fitness. I think we're starting to see a trend. Granted, I'm not doing any giving out financial advice, but it seems like there's a good business opportunity for someone to create a gym that is actually protective of women. Scrolling down more, you have Libertarian Thinker, and it's Mr. Krabs, and they say, Mr. Krabs, what inspired you to change your logo to the rainbow flag? And he says money, getting 113 likes. Libercat Media TM says, this is my pride flag, and it's the US flag. Ray Mariano says, we're going to need to start a right-wing gym, getting 1.1 thousand likes. Well, just have a gym with a couple dumbbells, and that's, that's usually, that'll about do it. Stats 84 says, so now 24-Hour Fitness wants the Bud Light treatment. When the F did everyone go so crazy for woke? You're American. We probably display our merch anywhere we want. If you don't like it, then get the F out, America. Companies are taking American tax dollars, but tell Americans they can't display the flag. You can't make this crap up. They got 987 likes, which, yeah, it's one of those things where there's also, I forget, let's see, what is their stock ticker? Is it 24 Fitness stock? What is it? Because again, once you're publicly traded and get large enough here, you also have to worry about, are they still private for now? Looks like they raised 110.14 million. But yeah, it's also one of those instances where financial institutions will invest in your company if you have certain political, cultural ideologies. So again, they might lose money from a consumer perspective, but at the same time, maybe they get some investors to swing in and invest in them. There are a lot of activist investors who will do that. Richard Pierce says the American flag should never be limited to only holidays. If the flag that you live under that provides you freedom and other countries don't somehow offends you, you're the problem. At 279 likes. Bad Kitty Unleashed says, so now 24-Hour Fitness are going to be the logo and apparel Nazis. I will never use their facilities in my lifetime. That got 362 likes. I don't think they're going to use Hugo Boss uniforms. Ha, pun intended. They made the uniforms for the Nazis. Salty Goat says, so glad I dumped their ass years ago, getting 593 likes. Let's see. Scrolling down. Is there any country statements? Again, there are millions of Americans who do agree with these policies. There are a lot of politicians who hate the United States flags, and there are some areas where they don't even have the U.S. flag anymore. It's people are starting to associate, or Democrats have actually given up that flag years ago. Again, a terrible political move on the political chessboard, I think, where nowadays, if you see an American flag, you kind of know who they voted for, which is incredible. I mean, they used to unite everyone. That was the purpose of the flag, but I digress. JD Sharp says that people are running America, who hate America, getting 294 likes. Planet of Memes, F-. They responded in just text form, not meme form, or meme if you feel so fancily inclined. Now, Planet of Memes says, why is anti-Americanism such as a prominent fixture in woke companies? Getting 476 likes. I suspect it's because they want to rebuild the country in their image. Gizmo says, anyone who has national pride and loves their country should not do business with anti-American woke companies like 24 Hour Fitness. And that got 628 likes. Just Posting the L says, canceling membership. Don't want to get AIDS. Unquote. Getting 210 likes. So as a youth might, companies getting ratioed in terms of I don't really see any contrarian statements or anyone trying to stick out for 24-hour fitness in this at the breaker of these news. And all these gyms are doing the same policies, and they are. I mean, some are publicly traded, some are privately owned. I can't wonder what's the real motivation around this, because again, this will increase their sales, especially in places like San Francisco. There are places in the United States who love this stuff, and they'll shop there just because of their policies. Overall, I think that's going to negatively hurt their business. Now, again, does it really matter right now? I don't think so, because of the time of year. In January, I can't help but think they're going to stop all these controversial policies and maybe try to get these leaks under control. But an overwhelming majority of all sales for every fitness membership on the planet, whatever company it is, that category, it's all about the first month of the year, because everyone makes their New Year's resolutions. More often than not, they sign up for the membership. And interestingly enough, the people who are too lazy to go to the gym and actually utilize it are the same people who are too lazy to actually cancel their policies more often than not. So that's why gyms are usually very profitable, because a lot of people who pay but don't actually go there. Truth be told, if you go to a gym every day, in a lot of cases, they actually lose money on you. But I partially digress. I think we'll see what happens when it gets close to the time of year, and that's why this probably won't hurt their bottom line too much in the short term. But let me know. Maybe you might be thinking different in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Star Wars new show The Acolyte getting a great score. Well, great in terms of, well, it's 84%. Well, that's by the professionals, but the consumer score is 23%, which, yeah, that's also known as terrible. Now, Star Wars Acolyte, which is the creators of this TV show, or I guess streaming show, they probably say it's the gayest Star Wars ever, and yeah, the show has like one white guy and he's a prisoner. Everyone else is every other race. And the plot is allegedly there. We'll show like a 1 minute little clip of it that kind of, I think, summarizes it perfectly. But yeah, let's just say in terms of public reception, overall, again, maybe in San Francisco, they love it. Overall, public is saying no to the dark side of the Force, whatever type of metaphor you prefer. Now, there's good old Rotten Tomatoes, and again, as usual, they get a high rating from the quote-unquote professionals, who again are usually also paid by these companies as well. But the average audience score is 23%, which is abysmal to say the least. Here, I wonder if I forget if they have comments down here. Got Acolytes on Disney Plus. Now, went viral on X Twitter. It says, "quote what is it? Acolyte? I don't want to say F- for marketing, but yeah, that's a weird name. Almost as weird as something like Topping." Well, wait, I partially digress. But in all seriousness, they say, quote, this is X Twitter, Acolyte Episode 3 flops, fans outraged. The third episode of the Star Wars series, The Acolyte, has received overwhelming negative feedback from fans and critics. The episode has been criticized for poor writing, acting, and perceived lack of continuity with the broader Star Wars universe. Some viewers have expressed disappointment and frustration, suggesting that Disney has ruined Star Wars franchise. The episode has been described as the worst in the series and the worst in Star Wars history, with particular criticism at the writing, character development, and attempts to retcon established lore, rather. Which, yeah. And here's a little clip of it by Eel. This is from Eel. I think it's both from Ian Miles Strong, actually. 23 seconds and 21 seconds. But, oh, this is interesting. Steph Annie says, this thick-necked bitch just ruined Star Wars for anyone who had a little bit of hope left in the franchise. Ooh, Jesus. It's almost like Quentin Tarantino put on a wig. I got 30,000 likes. And she's the one who says, sorry, yeah. Instead of saying this is a brilliant story with great character development, eloquence, it's going to, all flow into the Star Wars magical universe. She said, oh yeah, it's the gayest thing ever. I think R2D2 is, and what, R2D2 is a lesbian. It sounds like a parody when you say it out loud. Scrolling down more and more. Here. It's Gundams and Star Wars is relentless mediocrity at this point, getting 1.3 thousand likes. Oh, jeez. Let's see. Robin says, I just watched it last night. It's worse than you know. I predicted a lot of hate watchers for episode 3, Star Wars, The Acolyte, and huge drop off. It says, The Acolyte, just 2 strong females using the Force to make a child. Getting 24,000 likes for that comment. Oh, Kathleen Kennedy. How does she still have a job? Jesus. I mean, that's a great example of failing up your whole career. And, I mean, Indiana Jones lost $400 million under her ineptitudes of leading the company. Yeah. And, of course, South Park had that brilliant documentary where, again, Kathleen Kennedy, her formula for every show is just put chicken in it and make it gay. I got 2,000 likes. Let's watch this little preview of it, actually. Which, again, this is from E. Miles Trolling. He says, Star Wars has become completely retarded. And it almost looks, I almost thought this was like a Harry Potter ripoff or something. So you have, what is this, an African-American lady, and then standing next to some type of alien, and there's a couple people in cloaks, and it's like 28 seconds of misery, but we'll endure it together.
Power of one.
The power of one.
The power of two. The power.
That's incredible. I didn't think they were intelligent enough to count in terms of the character development. That, I'm actually impressed. They can count to 2. They have modicum intelligence. I didn't see that coming. So, pretty shitty musical. No, they couldn't get to 3. That was above their pay grade. Their intellect. I praise them too much. They can only get to 2. So a bunch of ladies standing around, counting from 1 to 2.
The power of many.
Oh, we got many. Worshipping, what is it? The sun? A bunch of ladies dance. They're saying the power. Again, what does that have to do with Star Wars? There's no, I mean, even rudimentary speaking, like, it's almost inconceivably bad. There's nothing in this clip would make you think Star Wars. Like, maybe a magical wizard world? Or, like, a dancing documentary? It's, Star Wars is the simplest thing to make. All you need is give character a lightsaber, make them stronger over time. That's it. I mean, even The Force Awakens was roasted because, what was it? You had the girl power where you had the one protagonist, I forgot his name, but the main actor who plays Darth Vader, I mean, he spent his whole life training, learning the power of the Force and all that stuff, and yet, here's the little girl that comes around, and she's just magically better at the Force just off the bat with no training. And that made fans irate enough with the lack of intellect, which there's very few. There's the Star Wars storylines in general, but it's devolved where just random crap. And it's got 261,000 views and 7.1 thousand likes. Now you have Burt Macklin having South Park, Eric Cartman saying, put a chick in it, make it more lame, getting 681 likes. Ian Miles Strong says every single time. Craig Chamberlain says, quote, Star Wars has been bad since Lucas let them go. My recommendation for Star Wars fans is to abandon the movie and television show franchises, dive headfirst into the book series, such as Heir to the Empire and Throne. The audiobooks of those are quite good as well, quote. Got 309 likes. Get Off My Lawn says, leave it to Disney to ruin Star Wars, getting 151 likes. And JT says, this is what happens when you give power to talentless people who think bright green hair dye makes an expression of itself, getting 483 likes. Also, the gal heading this project was the assistant to Harvey Weinstein, apparently. Interesting choice, Disney. Almighty says, Disney loves burning money. It says, the Disney Star Wars writer's room. And just a bunch of ladies and, I guess, actually 2 guys all cackling around the burning table of money, getting 46 likes. Which, yeah, they seem to like losing money lately because it's mostly what they do. Like Spicer says, Disney is having trouble with originality. At this point, they're just retelling stories through a woke lens and calling it groundbreaking and new. In the process, they have destroyed intellectual property and future revenue. Getting 65 likes. Let's see. Reddit Live says Disney is really leaning into the noble savage tribal mysticism at this one. Getting 53 likes. Chris Farting Swirl says, I thought this was Hocus Pocus, getting 29 likes. Let's see. Kevin B says it's not Star Wars anymore. It's something quite different now. Getting 88 likes. Let's see here. Oh, it's only about Jesus. Only about a minute long, but I think it's a good summary of these. So Terry says, yeah, we knew in advance it'd be shit. Matt Walsh says, here's a feminist director of the next Star Wars film saying her goal is to make men uncomfortable. The movie is destined to be Disney's biggest flop yet.
What is the balance of activating a force?
And this is apparently a clip from something called Women in the World. Or Women in, what is this? Women in World? Yeah, Women in World. Ironically, by people who probably can't define what a woman is, but nevertheless.
Force for change, but also trying to permeate that patriarchy, that power structure. And is that a part of the calculation of your art as well? And what's been the reaction to that?
Oh, absolutely. I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men.
I mean, visually speaking, she absolutely does. She doesn't need to try any further than that. Interesting enough, I don't see any reinforced structure under that chair she's sitting in. Probably a safety hazard in the making. I don't know who's in charge of that set.
Uncomfortable. Not you, just
Not
you. Not you.
Point taken, point taken.
But, it is important to be able to look into the eyes of a man and say, I am here, and recognize that. And recognize
We can't possibly miss you. That's not going to be an issue for you.
that I am working to bring something that makes you uncomfortable, and it should make you uncomfortable because you need to change your attitude. And it's only when you're uncomfortable, when you're shifty, when you have to have.
I would love to have a male leader say the exact same thing and flip it. You know how quickly you'd be ousted by modern society if a male director said his goal is to make women feel uncomfortable?
Difficult conversations that you will perhaps look at yourself in the mirror and not like the reflection, and then say, maybe there is something wrong with the way I think, or maybe there is something wrong with the way I am addressing this issue.
Mentally backwards, but got 27 likes. Let's see. Oh, this is a good one. Maria Isabella has a meme of the Star Wars where you have Darth Vader talking to Lando Calrissian, and Disney has the Star Wars chess piece, or the Darth Vader chess piece, has the trans flag instead of the computer. And it says, I'm altering Star Wars. Pray I don't alter it any further. Getting 72 likes, and they will make it worse and worse and worse. Scrolling down, you have Noel Zun saying Woke Disney, getting 93 likes. Let's see. We referenced it so many times. Might as well play this clip of Cartman.
Is there a problem, people?
No problem at all, Mrs. Kennedy.
We were just discussing ideas of what to do with the new Prince Eric movie.
Put a chick in it, make her gay!
Yes, Miss Kennedy, some of the execs are just expressing that maybe...
Well, that maybe we should go a different route than we did with Indiana Jones.
Fuck Indiana Jones, put a chick in it and make her name it gay! Put a diverse woman in it, make it gay!
But, Mrs. Kennedy, Bambi's a baby deer.
Fuck baby dear, put a chick in it, make her gay!
Linguine and clam sauce.
Excuse me, I believe I asked you to put a chick in this and make her gay?
Yes, the chef was a little confused what you meant by that.
It means put a chick in the linguine and make her fucking gay!
I mean, I don't know how Kathleen Kennedy has had her jobs replaced just by AI at this point. Because again, she does the same thing for everything she touches. She just has that same formula. And I don't know if Bob Iger's smoking, but they keep losing money on everything she touches. Like, Disney used to print money for a living. Disney used to basically have a license to print money out of thin air. They'd make works of art that everyone loved and appreciated. It wasn't at all controversial. It was family friendly. It had these rare things that are lost upon modern culture, such as morals and values. And they had a movie called the Bare Necessities. That was a whole thing. Talk about, you don't really need. Talks about quite literally your bare necessities. That was famous. And it was talking, was it Baloo? Talking to the kid in the forest about that. Now, unfortunately, nowadays, if Disney were to make a new show called, or new movie called The Bear, with a song called The Bare Necessities, the bear would probably be a prideful man and not an actual animal bear, and the lesson and moral would be, well, non-existent. But I'm not too surprised that Star Wars just crashed and burned. And again, they're probably getting a new audience. I mean, overall, they're losing money. They're probably growing a new audience, especially in San Francisco, because, again, there are people who love this stuff. Unfortunately for Disney, the volume of those consumers seems to be nowhere near the amount needed to actually, make a profit. So what really the question is, at what point does Kathleen Kennedy actually get fired for her business ineptitudes? And will Disney make a profit on media this year? Now, last year they did make a profit overall thanks to the parks, but Disney they lost about $2 billion on media last year. Now, granted, that was just on the films and the movies. They also lost money in the streaming, which the streaming platform will probably gain profitability this year. But at what point do they get a better leader? I mean, conceivably, anyone could be doing a better job than Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, the bar is that low. I mean, I have a couple of friends who worship the Star Wars. They love the lightsabers, the Chewbacca's, and the planes and stuff. And they hate what's going on. So anecdotally speaking, even my friends who are huge, even I have friends who will watch Star Wars no matter what. They'll watch it no matter who's starring it, where the story is. Even the diehard Star Wars friends I have, even they are disgusted. Now, I suspect some of them will still hate watch it just because. And I can't but wonder, will Kathleen Kennedy ever be fired? Are you a fan of her work? Let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now going over to the political podcast here, Justin Trudeau, Castro, allegedly, is scared of populism growing and probably him losing a job someday. Now this is brought to us first thanks to End Wokeness. And he says, quote, Trudeau hits the panic button. Trudeau says, we've seen the world in a rise of populist right-wing forces about every democracy. You're next, tyrant. And yeah, let's just say he is mentally and morally vacuous. He likes to disarm his population. Remember when he debanked the truckers when they wanted to protest not getting the mandatory jab? Yeah. And he looks just very similar to the Castros who took over and destroyed Cuba, playing with anti-communism and being the most morally and mentally vacuous people ever. And his mom was a whore. I should have done a earmuff check if you have youth listening in. And she actually hung out with, the Castros. Fidel, specifically. Yeah, there's a reason my family got the hell out of Cuba as soon as Fidel took over. Thank God they were able to get out. Fascinating tale for another time, perhaps. Now, the only thing he did good in this video is Trudeau did suit up, so he does one thing right. And women love to vote for him because he's handsome. I can't help but see a parallel to Gavin Newsom, but I partially digress. Let's hear what Mr. Trudeau Castro, allegedly, has to say.
We have seen around the world a rise of populist right-wing forces in just about every democracy that we've seen. And it is of concern to see political parties choosing to instrumentalize anger, fear, division, anxiety.
Is he reading his own playbook? During the whole lockdowns, not only does he disarm his population so they can't defend themselves, they took away all their freedom. You go to jail or are arrested and fined if you misgender someone in Canada. I mean, they are trying to jail people for memes, which unfortunately the United States is devolving into as well. But yeah.
My approach has always been to respond to it, to understand it, and to look to solve it, to roll up our sleeves, work hard, and with ambition for this country and for our future. And I continue to be convinced that Canadians are thoughtful about the challenges we're facing and ready to see them solved, rather than just allow themselves to be have their anger amplified without any solutions offered.
I was going to say, if you're Canadian, vote him out as soon as possible. Primary him if you can. One of the most evil men in history, Mr. Castro. I got 2.4 million views and 67,000 likes. Now, one of the first comes from Paul Zupa saying, quote, Trudeau will be legally replaced because the Canadian people have finally had it. Took long enough, getting 420 likes. Brano says, it must be scary seeing a dictator right now. And you have Trudeau saying, we're seeing a rise in populist right-wing forces. Then a trad man says, you mean voters who don't like you, getting 1.9 thousand likes, which, yes, I mean, is insane how, unless you're a far leftist, they call you right-wing. Even my friends who grew up, moderate Democrats, now they're labeled right-wing just because they're not all in on the agenda. Mark D. Pork says right-wing means anyone except globalist, right? Getting 2.1 thousand likes. Libercat Media TM says he's next, and is Trudeau trying to shake Trump's hand, and Trump says, again, this is a meme, no thanks, last time, again, cover your ears if you have children listening, Trump says, no thanks, last time granted pussy became a national scandal. You got 1.8 thousand likes. Libercat Media TM says they're definitely father and son convinced, and is a picture of Justin Trudeau, Castro, allegedly, juxtaposed with Fidel Castro, getting 924 likes. And for the political ideologies, yeah, they're about the same too. Trudeau actually praised China with their reaction to the pandemic because of their dictatorship. They can move quickly because they don't have to worry about human rights or anything. They just do what they want. When asked what global leader they asked Justin Trudeau, what global leader do you respect the most? He said Xi Jinping, Chinese leader, president, dictator, elected president. That, of all the people on the planet, that's the leader he respects and admires. It tells you everything you need to know about little Castro here. Got, again, 924 likes. Kingsley Marie says it's long overdue to send him packing. And it's Mr. Trudeau standing with two trans men getting 735 likes. Scrolling down. Oh, that's brilliant. Common Sense for Reals says the world's greatest leader right here. I don't know if this is it looks real. It's a book that says why Trudeau is a great leader and deserves respect. And they flip the book, and all the pages are just blank. I'd buy that book. I got 335 likes. Be a really quick read. Tex Trad says democracy is coded word for Marxists to talk about communism. Getting 272 likes. Joshua Walker says the people of Canada will rejoice when Trudeau no longer serves in public office. Getting 349 likes. Valentine Gomez says patriots are taking their countries back from the tyrants. Let's go. Getting 862 likes. Merrick Garland Presley's parody account says your next tyrant, and it is Mr. Trudeau dressed up in Nazi apparel, and it says people say I'm a dictator. It's kind of Trudeau. Oh, that's A plus play. That's an A plus play on words. Instead of the swastika, it's a maple leaf, but it does have the red armband and the white circular background. Of course, he has a signature Charlie Chaplin Adolf mustache, which how that's not on t-shirts and mugs by now is beyond me. That did get 491 likes. Let's see. Going down more and more. One bad dude says the globalists are losing, getting 396 likes. Let's see. Maybe there's contrarian statements. I'm not seeing any. Everywhere says roll up his sleeves and work hard. Dude's hands are probably softer than a baby's. Getting 42 likes, which, oh yeah, I don't think he's done much manual labor in his life. Or any labor, to be honest. Jim Hansen says, it's your turn, Canada. Anyone up there still have a spine? Getting 87 likes. See if there are any other contrarian statements. Oh, Samilia says, oh, there's no contrarian statements, but Samilia says sometimes YouTube accidentally gets it right. And it's the YouTube video, and then with Trudeau, the play button is perfectly placed on his upper lip, so it looks like the Hitler mustache. Yeah, 100 likes. Let's see here. One more. SRT 128 says right wing is the new Russia, Putin, Putin. 6 feet, only 2 weeks, start to democracy, etc. It's the new catchphrase in their Marxist strategy. Repeat enough and it'll become true. Getting 26 likes, and yet another reason to read 1984 and Animal Farm by George Orwell, which we're supposed to warn people to not let this shit happen. And yet, yeah, society has actually crumbled worse than the books could possibly predict. So, oh yeah, there's a picture of Justin Trudeau in blackface from way a while back. Yeah, he wasn't canceled because, again, he's a leftist. So it'll be interesting to see, does Trudeau actually get reelected? Does he get primaried out? And is anyone, and I do actually, it's fascinating to see, statistically, I have some Canadian listeners. Are you a fan of Justin Trudeau? Are you going to primary him? Are you going to vote him out? As always, I appreciate what you're taking the time to tune in, and be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Vivek on the Hunter Biden gun conviction going viral. Now, brought to us thanks to Vivek's personal ex-Twitter. And he says, quote, "I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Hunter Biden trial was a sham. It's a smokescreen to legitimize the Trump conviction and deflect attention from the Biden family actually likely crimes, selling off our foreign policy to make their family rich. Don't fall for it." And like all true men, he did, of course, suit up. It's only about 1:06 long, and should be told his voice is infinitely better than mine, so without too much further ado, I'll play that.
So Hunter Biden was convicted. Big freaking deal. This trial was a sham. Just like the Trump trial, it was a sham, but a sham for a different reason. It's a sham designed to legitimize the Trump conviction. That's why it came right after, even for charges that date way far back. But it also avoids accountability for the Biden crime family on the actual things that Hunter Biden should have been charged for. Like, for example, peddling foreign influence while his actual father, Joe Biden, was the vice president of the United States. Hunter had no business serving on the board of a Ukrainian energy company, a state-affiliated energy company that's affiliated with the same country, Ukraine, that his father, now as the U.S. president, is sending hundreds of billions of dollars of your taxpayer money to. That's where the real crimes lie. So this deflects accountability for the actual investigations that are more close to implicating Joe Biden, while coming in convenient timing right after the sham Trump conviction in the veil of bipartisanship. Don't buy it. I said this before, I'll say it again. This is a smoke screen, and the reality is you got to cut through it to get to the essence of what's happening in this country.
And that went pretty well. It got 2.2 million views and 110,000 likes. I thought it was going to be the one more to get 111,000, but nevertheless, 110,000 likes. And yeah, that's a good point. Now, it'll be interesting to see what the general consensus is in the comments here. One of the first ones comes from our favorite leftist. Well, not really favorite, but I follow him because he's someone who's very much a leftist, and more interesting data the better. Life can get a little bit boring if you're in an echo chamber. Now, Keith Aloha, which of course he has a palm tree emoji, at least for marketing, you know what that is. And he says, vote Democrat in 2024, or this is his biography, so you know Keith's background, who's wearing what appears to be a rudimentary button-up shirt, but nevertheless, Keith says, vote Democrat in 2024, it will be the last time you can. LGBTQ, animal lover, pro-choice, gun reform, expanding SCOTUS, no MAGA, never Trump. So the antithesis is pretty much everything I believe in, especially trying to pack the Supreme Court. He says gun reform is just smoke and mirrors for gun confiscation and having the government only have guns, as we've seen them do time and time again. But nevertheless, Keith says, oh, Vivi, that's creepy. Nevertheless, he says, oh, Vivi, give me a rest already. You'll never be VP. You'll never be a cabinet member. Moreover, you'll be forever known as one of the many morally bankrupt politicians so far of Trump's smelling orange hole. Pathetic and sad. What a legit legacy for your son to live for the rest of his life. His picture of Trump, and he accompanied it with a picture of Trump saying convicted felon, no one is above the law, no one. Ironic, because again, Joe Biden's gotten away with a lot. Now that did get 25 people that liked it. Luke Scalise, finally. It's been a while since I've seen our favorite leftist who, in terms of like fashion apparel, he's wearing a V-neck as a man, which I would argue is only appropriate for like a date when you're married with someone, maybe after 3 years into the relationship. That, like a home date, that might be an appropriate attire. As we all men, true men, obviously we all know true men always suit up. Luke also brags about how boys should not be able to be allowed to play football. That's what he pins to his profile. But nevertheless, Luke Scalise says everything is a conspiracy that revolves around Trump like the sun around the flat earth. They got mentally vacuous, yes, but they could get 539 likes. So a lot of people do agree with him. So let's see. The first comments are liar. One says, sir, the people which you refer believe in geocentric solar system, not a heliocentric one. The people just rolling their eyes. Again, he got some likes. Paul Zupa says, great take, Vivek, you nailed it, got 102 likes. JD Sharp says, correct, it was 2-1. Distract from the Biden family's FRA violations. 2, create the illusion that the DOJ isn't biased against Trump trial was political. And importantly, 3, justify Trump doing jail time. Got 492 likes. CNO says there are 450 plus documented violations of state and federal laws and regulations that are revealed on Hunter's laptop. Wow. Says report on the Biden laptop by Marco Polo. That got 268 likes. Let's see here. Modern Warfare with Alex Jones. Oh, don't think it's obviously his real profile. It says, what about all the, again, cover your ears if you have children listening, try to make this moderately family friendly. And he says, "Did you hear about all the inappropriate child material on Hunter Biden's laptop? Why are they playing the evidence on TV in Russia but not here in America?" Got 480 likes. Tom Bonjour says, "I think Vivek is 100% correct about the Hunter Biden trial. It's a smokescreen." That got 485 likes. Let's see, scrolling down more and more. Valentin Gomez says, "It's a lie. 81 million votes. Hunter must be an artist, and the Biden family having business. They're all corrupt." Getting 544 likes, which, yeah, Hunter Biden was selling shitty paintings for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Which, granted, I'm by no means an artist. I could barely do chicken scratch, but yeah, he was selling his like modern art paintings where if a child can do it, he's just throwing crap on the wall. Yeah, he's making money on that. Let's see. Her Majesty says they charged him with crimes that would not lead back to Joe Biden. It's all smoke and mirrors. Then you have, geez, he doesn't look good. Oh, he's even wearing a T-shirt. It says New York. A little video compilation of Hunter Biden's ineptitudes. Yeah. Got 403 likes. Joe Bianiano says, "You got it. It's sunny. See you July 11th at Trump's prison sentencing." You got it sunny. That's a new... I haven't heard that in a couple of years. That got 207 likes. Kimberly Klezak says, "Agree 100%, getting 471 likes. Another contrarian statement, Tanya Bailey. This. She's a Seattle sports fan, history nerd, loves dogs, unfortunately dealing with cancer, followed by Art Candy and Kim, so other prominent leftists that we know about. And Tonya says, oh, come on, get rid of that pop-up. "You guys are very pathetic and predictable." What? It's a horse moving? I don't know. I don't know sports balls, but I know enough to know that I'm pretty sure horses don't move field goals during NFL games. I'm like 99% sure that doesn't happen. But nevertheless, this GIF has the horse moving the goalpost, which ironically is what famously Democrats are known for more often than not. I got 372 likes. Let's see. Going down more and more. Bellevue Loves USA says, "I'm not." And as Tucker Carlson says, "When people no one voted for run everything, you are not living in a free country." Getting 52 likes. Avatar says, "Go buff." Oh, wow. Contrarian statement to say the least. Attacking his forehead. Avatar says, "Go buff your forehead, weirdo." Getting 149 likes. Which, I mean, if I was Vivek, I'd probably do that just for spite. Just to be a little funny. But nevertheless. Gary Kopenik says, "You're an idiot." Getting 460 likes. So more contrarian news. Or comments, rather. Oh, here's a good one. 1770s. Americans after being taxed at 2% by the British. It shows, you know, Bill Mel Gibson charging into war with a great film called The Patriot. It says 2020 Americans after being taxed 37% by the government, and it's Kermit the Frog bending over, spreading his private parts open. Got 72 likes, but life is worse than that. Feds take up to 40% of your income, and states can take up to 30% of your income depending on where you live. Then don't forget about, you know, the sales tax, property tax, alcohol tax, tobacco tax, telecom tax, water tax, car registration, gasoline tax. What else? Estate tax, inheritance tax. If Americans were good at math and we actually sat down and we saw, of every dollar we earn, how much do we really get to keep? Yeah, I'd be pretty depressed. And if most Americans were in shape, maybe there'd be a revolution tomorrow, but no. Again, that did get 72 likes, and that was from the Engagement Farmer, saying, "Regardless, majority of Americans will still refuse to think critically about abolishing the income tax." Oh, yeah, we definitely get rid of that crap. I love fascinated and interested by economic debates. Maybe I'll review those later in the show. Let's see here. Do one or two more. Being Libertarian says, "Hunter Biden's gun case is a psyop to get Republicans to normalize gun control. He's a pawn probably because he left crack at the White House," unquote. In 99 likes, which that would be a good, fascinating, interesting move on the political chessboard if gun rights groups were actually average. Because again, Hunter Biden's defense team was saying you can't self-incriminate yourself, legally speaking, and on a 4473, which is the paperwork you do to purchase a firearm from a dealership, well, you actually have to do a checkbox that says you're not addicted to illegal substances, including marijuana, which is, again, a reason why you should never be foolish enough to get a marijuana card. Because once you do, you just gave the government evidence that you're addicted to an illegal substance, and you can no longer purchase a firearm. More often than not, I've heard one or two cases where they can make the argument or it doesn't, but I've heard more cases of people being struck down because of that. But yeah, if you were to actually have all the pro-gun folks go, "Hey, we think background checks and these paperwork, they're unconstitutional," because they are, that would be fascinating to see. the Democrats then try to stick up for Hunter. How would that play out at the end of the day? Now, Al Kalek says the key takeaway from the Hunter Biden trial is that the laptop is real and has now been verified. What other crimes are on the laptop? Who are the girls on the laptop? Why do the emails on the laptop tell us about, or what do the emails on the laptop tell us about the Biden crime family? What happens to the feds who claim the laptop was Russia disinformation? They got 93 likes, and those feds will probably get a raise and a bonus because they did what they were told to do. Yeah, yet another conspiracy theory proven right. Oh, it's a compilation of Yanny saying lead by example, and it's Joe Biden arguing in the Senate for tougher crimes. Then on the right is a video compilation of Hunter Biden's illegal activities. It got 16 likes. So, do you think this is just a smokescreen to distract us from the more serious crimes of Hunter Biden that could, well, many people postulate that it does actually lead back to Joe Biden, 10% for the big guy? And do you think this will be used in terms of, political movement on chessboard, say for them to say, oh, see, the Department of Justice, they go after both sides of the political aisle? I mean, it's not all the realm of possibility. Let me know what do you think will be the biggest reaction from most prospective voters on this conviction? Do you think it'll sway them one way or the other? Do you think they'll say, well, sure, but what, Biden just pardons his son? Or if they just slap him on the wrist like, yeah, you're convicted, but here's 2 days community service? Will that have an impact on people's perception? Let me know in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Joe Biden's tax the rich their fair share tweet. Well, it mostly backfires completely. Now, in terms of Marxist rhetoric and gathering votes from people who hate people who are successful in life, this actually will probably get him additional votes. It is a very long, drawn... It's like an old, reliable thing Democrats use to bombastically try to get more votes. There are a lot of topics that both Republicans and Democrats use to their advantage, whether it be abortion or gun control, that both sides will use to gather votes and raise campaign funds. And this is one of the most popular ones. People saying, you're making too much money because you were successful in life and you worked hard and you made the right calls. You maybe made the ultimate gamble, started a small business, and grew it exponentially. Well, you should take that money and give it to people who don't work or countries we can't point to on a map. Now, Biden, or more accurately, probably Karine Jean-Pierre, who has been caught tweeting for him multiple times. I'm not sure if he knows how to use a phone at this point, but nevertheless, allegedly, this does come from Biden's account on X Twitter. And he says, quote, if Trump gets elected, he'll cut taxes for him and his rich friends at the expense of working families. We can't let this happen. And there's a big graphic, and it says Biden Harris at the bottom. It says, it's time billionaires pay their fair share, and pay their fair share is, well, just code for Marxism, but it's also underlined. So they're too cheap to actually highlight it. And granted, it's just a graphic. But yeah, I think highlighting it with like a virtual Sharpie, like a highlight, the yellow highlighter or red a little bit more effective. And yeah, remember when Trump was in office and the average American made like $4,000 more than now? I mean, that wasn't the top 1%, the bottom 1% should be getting tax breaks, but yeah, actually, fiscally speaking, most people are much better off. Moderately viral, got about 260,000 views, 7.1 thousand likes. One of the first ones comes from Gunther Eagleman, said, no taxes on tips, vote Trump, got 710 likes, which is a good idea from Trump, saying government should not be taxing tips for restaurant workers and stuff like that. Paul Zupa saying, Joe Biden has increased taxes on every American with his 5% average inflation. He's canceling Trump tax cuts for all Americans. Biden's increased prices for everyone by an average of 20% and lowered wages by 5%, all while increasing the national debt by $7 trillion. Terrible. Got 319 likes. Rich Mooney says the federal government doesn't need more money, it needs much, much less. We need a smaller federal government. We can eliminate the EPA. We can move food inspection to the FDA for now, and abolish the rest of the USDA, and end all subsidies for agriculture. No manufacturer subsidy either. No corporate welfare at all. And yeah, no more taxpayer subsidized corporate bailouts or student loan forgiveness funded by American taxpayer. No government-backed student loans or grants at all. He goes on for quite some time. Basically eliminate. Rich says basically eliminate everything. That got 8 likes. Steve says, you literally sent hundreds of billions of dollars of our taxpayer dollars overseas to be laundered. Sit down, unquote, getting 4.2 thousand likes, which would be very uncomfortable for Biden since he looks like he defecated himself before he sat down, so be extra uncomfortable. Now, General TM says, cutting taxes is a good thing for Americans that are trying to survive in America. Vote for Trump. Got 751 likes. Vance Murphy says, you became a multimillionaire on a congressional salary, getting 148 likes. Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons a lot of my friends actually like Trump. He's one of the few persons who got into politics and left with less money. seems like every other time, left and right, people get into politics. They'll make, I forget the salary is, like $175,000 a year plus healthcare and all that kind of bonuses for the public sector. And yeah, they leave and they're millionaires, sometimes 10, 20 over. The Matter says we were all better under the Trump economy, getting 342 likes. AKA says resign. We all want Trump, getting 398 likes. Franklin said he will pay for the tax cut. Oh, finally, a contrarian statement. We found it, which is a repost from Biden Harris HQ, which I think I already follow. Yes, I do. All right. Franklin said he'll. Well, I don't think he ever would. But
one last question.
Go ahead.
Entitlements ever be on your plate?
At some point, they will be. We have tremendous growth. We're going to have tremendous growth this next year. It'll be toward the end of the year. The growth is going to be incredible. And at the right time, we will take a look at that. You know, that's actually the easiest of all things, if you look, because it's such a big percentage.
If you're willing to do some of
If you don't cut something in entitlements, you'll never really deal with the
we'll
debt.
be cutting, but we're also going to have growth like you've never had before.
You changed.
But she's not. No politician is going to, because again, Trump has publicly said he would never touch Social Security and Medicare. He should. Every politician should. But it's political suicide. That's why no one, left or right, will ever address the big elephant in the room or the dog, whatever, gorilla in the room. Because again, those are bankrupting our country. We quite literally lose money every single year with almost $35 trillion in debt thanks to the ineptitudes of these politicians. And yeah, Social Security, if you look up the definition of a Ponzi scheme, it's Social Security. It doesn't work. Yet another great example of the government doing something terribly. It's absolute garbage. And eventually it will have to end. Now, if I were to predict, I would say they kick the can down more and more. Eventually they'll have, I'm not sure how they actually solve that problem. In true government fashion, I'm sure someone will get screwed over. I did get 31 likes though. Brian Herrera says, pay their fair share for what? Foreign interest while having a crumbling infrastructure and homeless veterans? Go F yourself, getting 5.5 thousand likes. CastFest84 says, cutting taxes is good for America. Sending our tax dollars to other countries is not. We have so much money going overseas. Clearly Americans are being overtaxed. Getting 454 likes. Well, this is funny. Western Lensman says, your son is going to trial soon for evading taxes. This is from Reuters. This was published May 22nd, 2024. It says, Hunter Biden criminal tax trial delayed to September 5th. Got 338 likes. Which, yeah, and spoiler alert, the more you tax someone, I mean, they will decrease their investments. They will decrease their amount of spend in the economy, which again is not good. Valentin Gomez says, when Trump gets elected, got 128 likes. Reddit Live says, surely your proposed 25% tax on unrealized capital gains will help the middle class, getting 171 likes. Oh yeah, they want to tax unrealized gains, which is so perverse and disgusting. It should make everyone on Wall Street and everyone in America throw up, because again, most Americans do have a 401k that is linked to the stock market. And yeah, quite simply put, if you buy stock today at $5 a share, and it goes up to $10 a share, well, even if you don't sell it, they want to steal 25% of your unrealized gain. Which again, what happens in the next fiscal quarter if the stock goes down, and all of a sudden you actually lose money on it, or you're in the negative if you haven't sold it yet? So traditionally, you pay a tax when you sell the stock, and in this case, they want to tax it just if the stock goes up. Our government is so fat and greedy, it's disgusting. Playing the memes, which they did not respond in meme form, but they did respond. They say, quote, don't ask why the rich aren't paying their so-called fair share. Ask what the hell the government is doing with all of our tax dollars. Getting 196 likes. Which, I think I actually posted the statistic here. It's going to drive me crazy. Let's see here. Trying to see if there's any. Let me pull it up really quick. Lies. Yeah, because my comments is varied, but I say, quote, in 2021, the top 1% of taxpayers paid a whopping 45.8% of the total income of taxes. Sounds like they are paying more than their fair share. Granted, there's only one like for my comment. And granted, it's only for myself, but it technically did get a like. But in all seriousness, that is ridiculous. The top 1% paying basically half of all the federal income taxes. That's the definition of unfair share. And how much does the bottom 1% contribute? Oh yes, nothing. So, but again, mostly negative comments against Biden in these over here. So, not winning on social media. But again, these Marxist talking points are effective in the fact that they'll get a lot of leftists to vote for Biden. They'll get a lot of people who don't understand, how economics works to vote for him. And again, those there are those few key words that get people to vote, and they are very, play on people's emotions. And in that case, it might be persuasive. Although I think more and more people are starting to wake up to the fact of, wait, we sent 200 billion to what country? That most Americans can't point onto a map. Are we in the top 10 traders of Ukraine? We're not. Okay, so we don't do a lot of business with them. Last time I checked, I think we were actually the 12th biggest trading partner with Ukraine. And that's just one place. That's just one country. We spend money all over the world, and yet seem to invest so little here. Now, that would be a fascinating infographic. If you know a source, let me know in the comments. It'd be fascinating to see all the money the government spends. What percent? It'd be cool to see a global map and show a percentage of like all the money the government spends. Where does that money go? Because it sure as heck doesn't seem like it's a lot here. But let me know in the comments, because as always, I would be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Unfortunately, we are going on to the business blunder of the day, and it is sad because Honda is having a recall. Now, thankfully, it is just the Honda Fit being recalled, so the good old Honda Civic is safe for now. My baby with the 3 pedals and a manual transmission, like every car should have by default, safe for now. Granted, there's an open recall for the fuel pump, but I partially digress. This is first brought to us thanks to USA Today News. You see a little Honda Fit there. They say, quote, Honda Fit being recalled for the rear view camera not displaying. So at least it's not, again, this isn't safety advice or driving advice, but at least it's not really a recall that really is detrimental or really matters. Again, rear cameras were just introduced because the government forced them to do it. I understand they are a very convenient feature, but it's ironic how the government says they care about the low class of the poor, and they keep passing laws to make products more expensive and prohibitive for them to buy. I partially digress, but USA Today says, quote, Honda is recalling 114,686 of its 2018 to 2020 Fit and 2019 to 2022 HR vehicles that were previously recalled under recall number 23V46. The rearview camera image may not display when the engine is started with a key. This defect occurs because of a design error in the audio power circuit. If the rearview camera fails to show what is behind the driver's vehicle, it could increase the risk of a crash, according to a National Highway Traffic and NHTSA report. Which, it would be hilarious if they actually did a study on that. Wait a minute, a camera allows you to see more? I mean, I would not be surprised if our taxpayers paid for that type of research. They say, quote, these vehicles fail to comply with the requirements of the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard number 111 rear visibility. More government bureaucracy, more regulation. They say as a free service, dealers will update the display audio unit software. Recall notifications are expected to be delivered July 8th, or just tune into the show, since it seems like a majority of the business blunders are automotive related. Not too surprising, because it's one of the most complex, expensive things people buy in their life, second to only at home. Now, they also note that owners may contact the Honda service at 1-888-234-2138. Again, the Honda help service number is 1-888-234-2138. They note that Honda's number for this recall are TIQ and DIR. Again, the recall names are TIQ and DIR. The vehicles previously repaired under recall 23V and 46 will need to have a new remedy completed. Again, it's 2018 to 2022 Fit, as well as the 2019 to 2022 HRV, which is quite disappointing to say the least, because Honda's known for one thing, or they used to be, reliability. There's a reason why a majority of people in my family drive Hondas. My family bought a 2001 or 2000 Honda Accord, new from the dealership. It still runs like a champ to this day, because it has a bulletproof engine and powertrain. And that's what they're mostly known for, is great reliability. And yet, they seem to have more and more recalls. And granted, this is not a terrible recall. The average consumer doesn't give a damn, because one, it doesn't make the vehicle can still drive with it. Again, not advice, but it's not correlated to the drivetrain, which is the most expensive, complex part of the vehicle, or if it's an EV, not related to the battery, which is again the most expensive, problematic part of the vehicle. So thankfully, it's not detrimental. You'll still be able to get to work if you have to, and it's one of those instances where yes, you still have to go to the dealership, so it chisels away the brand reliability, the perception. Hopefully, this is a quick fix where you just go in, they flash the computer, they switch things out, and you're not having to be without your vehicle for days or heaven forbid weeks. And then you have to worry about, well, does the dealership have a vehicle that they could potentially loan me? Or maybe I need to use something like Uber or Lyft and have a stranger pick me up. Or maybe I just have to walk somewhere and figure something out, which again, depending on your insurance policy, may or may not cover. So there are a lot of variables that lead to a dissatisfaction with the consumer. So technically it is, of course, it's going to be repaired at free to cost to the consumer, but the dealerships will also be upset because the rate at which they fix these, they get paid a lot less, they make less money when it comes to recall work and warranty work. So bad news all around. So thankfully it's not detrimental, but Honda, another chisel being taken at your good old standard reliability and the perception being hurt yet again. Gotta say, Honda having that fit recall, that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.